All right, welcome to the Best in Slot podcast, a Warcraft podcast by the community for the community. I'm your main host, Sparty, with my co-host Midgettes again this week, and our special guest, Great Father Winter. Welcome, both of you. Thank you guys for coming in here.
Go ahead, Great Father Winter. Everybody wants to hear from you.
Of course, of course. Have a wonderful winter's veil, everybody. It's great to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming. We appreciate it, taking time out of your busy schedule, giving away those naughty and nice presents. But yes, today is our episode 8. We'll be talking about Winter Veil, community events, and the season of giving. So really, let's start off with what's new in the community. So this is the segment. Sorry, this is the segment where we talk about what's new in the community here, what's going on. We do have our Winter Veil season, but yes, go ahead, Midgets. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. You're always talking over me. I'm used to it. But we did notice that Method made world first on I completely forgot what raid we're doing. What raid are we doing?
The Antorus, right?
There we go. Antorus. I was going clear back to Tomb of Cigaris. But Method was world first, and we noticed that it is indeed mathematically possible. But I think there were some other thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that the math worked out on that one. I know it was a bit of a trip towards Exorcist back in the day where things were mathematically impossible. And yeah, I mean, it's great that Method won, the world first yet again. It shows that EU dominance, or EU whatever you want to call it. It's interesting. In the whole world first race, there was some drama between some of the other guilds. There was Limit sort of sabotaging themselves, where I don't know if we talked about this last week, where the one healer was DDoSing the other healers so he could get in because he wasn't good enough. And then, of course, the leadership of Limit chimes in, this guy wasn't good anyway. Well, you know what? If he wasn't good anyway, why did you keep him around, right? There's so many other talented players you could have replaced him with, right? Anyway, and of course, Exorcist banned from the Olympics, the IOC, Russia and Exorcist. It's another, at least they weren't banned this time. That is good. I mean, that is a step up from Exorcist, right? Number 2, but not banned, not suspended, not breaking TOS. And hopefully that little reminder from Blizzard did help these guys out, not to be account sharing, not to be doing all these things while they do their 7 different types of splits. So, good.
Well, as far as drama goes, it was less than normal, but there is always something.
There always has to be something. You're right. Exactly.
But the more exciting news, and I'm very excited about this, and my bags are thrilled, is they made Pantheon's Blessing stackable.
Yes, this is fantastic. So for those of us that don't have any luck, the people in our guilds that we hate, that have the Pantheon trinkets already, or Aman'Thul's, this I think is partly from the devs and partly from Great Father Winter. Is that right? Did you bless us with an early gift, Great Father Winter?
Of course. I mean, I just had to ask my friends up there at Blizzard, and they were like, "Oh, sure, we'll give it to you." I mean, after all, my bags are already full with all the presents. I don't have room to keep all those too.
So a bit of a selfish thing there as well. Getting those Pantheon, the upgrades for those of you listening, stackable now. It's not going to fill up our inventory. It'll be one slot with the 20 plus upgrade tokens till we get our own Pantheons. So that'll be fun. Thank you, Great Father Winter and Blizzard.
It's not selfishness, it's efficiency.
I like efficiency. Efficiency is a great answer.
Mm-hmm. So the other big change is Concordance, right? People have been all over Twitter of, hey, there's 50 more ranks to Concordance. You heard about that as well, Midgets?
How could you miss it? Everybody gets so upset when we get stuff from the PTR, which I love the passion of the community, but sometimes I'm like, well, how are we getting so worked up just because of some text lines coming from the PTR? So maybe you can give me some more insight on that.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Concordance, 50 more ranks going into 7.3.5 on the PTR, but it is public testing. It is early beta mid-late beta for the PTR. There's lots of changes subject, to change. And a lot of what is being data mined isn't really reflective. The other note, there were some Viagra notes on the PTR, which were obviously changed and data mined by, I think, Wowhead. But the big thing with concordance, right? And people are saying, hey, we're gonna have to grind this much more. What's the point of this concordance increase if we're not even gonna get to 50 concordance right now? Well, my suspicion is that they're gonna rescale how concordance works. So essentially, if you're 20 traits into concordance now, it'll be like 40 traits into concordance in 7.3.5, which means you'll have an overall buff. Like, they're not going to change going from 1 to 100. It'll be the same as going from 1 to 50 right now, but you'll have a stronger overall concordance because it'll be twice as strong. It'll also mean you'll get increases, relatively sooner rather than one big increase every however many hundreds of billions or trillions of artifact power that you are getting, which is really it's a positive change. It's a positive change for anybody doing any kind of AP, and hopefully that's what happens, right? We'll see again. It is early PTR, but that's our hope.
Well, and it's interesting because everybody has a different reaction to it. Some people are like, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to grind out some more," or in this case, you're looking at it buffed. I would be curious as to why they would buff it, especially with Antorus being so easy. And that if you had come in and have that additional buff, will it make it easier, or how are they going to work it? But I've come to learn over the years that when I get these first notes from the PTR, that I want to sit and wait and see how it comes and what they're doing with it. Because a lot of times once the full picture comes out, we are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I do think it's fair to say that at this point, we're all pretty tired of grinding on our weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I did just get a nice relic from my Warlock, and I want to get to 75 on him, but yeah, I haven't had the desire, and that was my big issue with AP, and I know we're going to a bit of a tangent here, where once your weapon's complete with 75, or your spec is complete, there's less incentive to do things in-game, right? Yeah, there's still, RPGs or raids or dungeons or whatever you're doing or Mythic Pluses, but there's definitely less incentive to do any kind of world questing or AP grinding post that 75 mark. So hopefully there'll be some kind of content. I mean, I know we're going to Wintervale, which will be plenty of seasonal content for us.
Absolutely. Well, and the other big notice on the PTR was the Mythic Plus Battle Res changes. There's a lot of passion on that one, too.
Yeah, so in the new PTR, for those of you listening, the Battle Res is now more of a shared resource, and it's more of an 18-minute timer. And I know Great Father Winter had some really good points to this one. Great Father Winter, hopefully you weren't behind the design change, but I know you have the Blizz Dev's ear, and maybe you can sort of explain how the new B-Res system may work, and I say may because it's not finalized, in 7.3.5.
Well, first off, it was not my idea, because, after all, I like giving people nice presents, and, well, this one's, at least from the eyes of the community, seems to be a bit more of the naughty list present. But the way that it currently works is a similar way to how your so-called raids go, where you have one res at the very beginning of the dungeon, and then the second charge, which is shared between all users of the res, is not coming until 18 minutes later, which is currently set up to be based off the formula for how they do it, which is 90 minutes divided by the number of people that you have with you. Of course, this is all on the PTR for right now, so it could change. Hopefully it does, because 18 minutes seems a little bit of a punishing amount of time, if you ask me.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to have a one... So essentially you're having one res, maybe two reses every single dungeon, right? I mean, that's in terms of combat reses, otherwise you're releasing and running back. Which is an interesting spin on things, and I wonder if the MDIs will are any factor into that, going forward. But I guess we'll see. I'm curious as to how many battle reses people are actually using in those dungeons. I mean, I don't take them too seriously, so we're doing our 15s or 17s, and yeah, we get a death or a wipe in here, but it's not the end of the world. But I wonder if it's more of a target towards those MDIs going forward. But I mean, it is subject to change, right?
I think it is targeted to the MDIs, and I think it's to prevent class stacking, so you're not bringing 4 druids.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because there was that one team, right, that had the 4 druids and the warlock?
Exactly. So I think it's to make that more even and less class stacking, but we'll see. We'll see what comes from it.
Okay, sounds
Now,
good.
the big news coming in, and I think this one is what came from Great Father Winter, is it sounds like Alpha for Battle for the Alliance, because that's what I'm going to say instead of Azeroth, are starting to show up on the BattleNet. So here it comes.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting. We have Battle for Azeroth, the alpha or early access coming out a couple years ago. Some of you remember we had the Demon Hunter early access alpha was given out to streamers and content creators and things like that. So we may see something like that going around. We do have some kind of keys in our possession from Blizzard, but I can't really disclose what those keys are. Maybe at the end of the podcast we will. We'll see. You'll have to tune in and listen.
We'll have to tune in and listen. Well, if you're watching and been paying attention, what we're focusing on is the Season of Giving. And one of the Warcraft employees, she now works for Blizzard, Arcane Ratzel, has always put on some really neat events. And I'm pretty sure she's probably the person behind the Twitter event for At Warcraft Cares. But it's that time of year again for the 4th annual Ice Crown Challenge, which supports the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your experiences with that, Sparty? And Great Father Winter, have you been involved?
Great Father Winter, have you done this Ice Crown Challenge? Have you heard much about it before?
I've heard about it before. I've never participated myself because, well, around this time of year, I'm usually quite busy, but I don't know. Might be fun to do something different for a change.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what the Ice Crown Challenge is, Arcane Ratzel, and she's an awesome personality on Twitter and now a Blizzard employee. She absolutely hates warlocks. She loves mages. She has great graphics. You often see her graphics and gifs on the Warcraft Twitter, as well as Facebook. So she's a really positive and hilarious person there. So what she does is essentially you do the Ice Crown Challenge. It's yourself or bring some friends as well. Great Father Winter could bring, Metzen and his reindeer and his elves to complete Ice Crown. And the time in which you take to complete Ice Crown, so every single boss, all of that, is how much you donate. So if I do it in 21 minutes and 30 seconds, I would donate $21.30 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and that's the goal. So last year, in 2016, they contributed 4,600. I know it contributed a bunch to that as well. I mean, it's a solid initiative. It gets you engaged in the game, and those are the best kind of charity initiatives, right? Where rather than just retweeting, following, just donating, you're actually having to do something, and you can share it as well, and it's a fun thing to do. So I will definitely be doing this again this year, challenging some of our friends to do the Ice Crown Challenge. Maybe we'll challenge Towley and some of our other big guy streamers or big girl streamers to do this as well, because it's again for a great cause and it's something fun to do with everybody else.
Well, last year I challenged Taryn Gregory. Yeah, and he had a lot of fun with it. But the place to find the information is at Warcraft Cares on Twitter. That's where you would donate. That's where you can share with your friends. And it's really a great thing for everybody to get in and do. And if you're still working on the mount, then you can get the mount. Maybe you get lucky and get the mount too. That's
right. I mean, it might be for a good cause. I suspect Great Father Winter has increased the drop rates of Invincible just around this season. Right? Is that true, or can you confirm that at all, Great Father Winter?
I can't confirm nor deny the allegations, but try the challenge for yourself and you might find out that you might be a little bit luckier.
Alright, sounds good. Alright, so let's get into really the crux of today's episode, which is our special guest, Great Father Winter. So, for those of you in the Warcraft community, Great Father Winter is now here. He's ready to go, start giving out the gifts to the people that are nice, and, maybe some lumps of coal and, things like that to the people that are not so nice. But Winter Veil has started December 16th until January 2nd. In-game, the Winter Globes, those kinds of things are all in. So one of the first things or what? I mean, Midgets, you were online really late last night for some kind of Globe Yeti pet. What is this?
Oh, it's a new pet. But first, I want to go back because I'm wondering, Great Father Winter, maybe you can answer this. Are Left Sharks Warcraft's version of lumps of coal?
The depends on who you ask, really.
I don't know. Sparty got a lot of them, so that's the reason I'm asking.
I've clearly been very nice. I don't need any more left sharks. I don't need any lumps of coal. No,
I
no more
don't
left
know.
sharks.
Why don't we ask your stream viewers if that's the real meaning behind those sharks?
We will have to ask them.
Although I'm honestly curious, where are they getting them all from?
There has to be some place, right, where these left sharks came from last year, and I had hundreds and hundreds of left sharks I had to go through and delete, so please do not send them to me. Or send them to me, and I'm gonna pawn them off on somebody else, and I've got a special plan. Anyway, your Globe Yeti pet. Tell us about it.
The Globe Yeti pet. So, the big giant globes that you can find in Orgrimmar, Ironforge, and Dalaran, there is a pet that spawns every 30 minutes or so, and you'll find that you're going to need a target macro because there's either A, a lot of people, or B, that little Yeti moves really fast, and it's a pet battle.
I see. So is it the first person that right-clicks it will get into combat with him, and then you have to go capture it?
Exactly, and then once it's in combat, it's gone for the next half hour. So on Storm Rage, there were a lot of people sitting in the snow globes.
Those jerks.
Those jerks. But it's only a level 1 pet, so when you're pet battling with it, if you take your 25s, make sure you take a pet like the Terrible Turnip that has an attack that will not kill him below 1, attack it, and then capture it. It's the same spec, and for those who are pet battlers and breed, it comes in as a poor, so you'll have to upgrade it, but it's an awesome pet.
Interesting. I will have to take a look at this. Really, on Stormrage, I may have to camp out on my Horde alt because Stormrage is so Alliance heavily populated that there's no way I'm going to be sitting there for, 15, 20, 30 minutes hoping to right-click this thing.
Well, it was 2 o'clock in the morning server time last night, and there were still 10 people sitting there.
That's great. Did you get it, though? Did you end up getting it last night?
I got it last night, but I was smart. I switched to Horde so I could go to bed.
Very good. All right, so Great Father Winter, you do have a new present for us this year. We've had sleds, we've had some awesome toys over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about this next present we're going to get?
Well, there's actually 2 presents this year, but the first one of which is from a good friend of mine named I believe you call him Ben Brode. It's your own personal Huff station, so you can enjoy the fun pleasures of Hearthstone right in the world of Warcraft.
I'm excited for that. I've been recently on the Hearthstone kick again, on my way to Legend as well as doing Kobolds and Catacombs, which is amazing. So yes, I'm curious as to how that works in-game. I'd be very excited to see it.
We can only hope we get to play it in-game, because that's what we need is more Hearthstone.
Right? You can just challenge somebody else in the raid while you're waiting, for people to run back or waiting between wipes, do a quick match.
Right, because you're going to encourage that in your raids. I don't believe it.
Well, no, but when I join other raids, that's what I'll be doing.
Oh, wait a minute. So, in your raid, you can't do it, but if you go to somebody else's, you can? That sounds like a troll, Sparty.
Absolutely.
Okay, more left sharks for you.
All right, what's our other toy?
Ah, yes, the other toy. This one's a bit more for the rambunctious types. It's the toy weapon set. So you can equip your own little Alliance sword and shield and just go to battle with each other in a safer way without hurting each other much.
So sort of like foam swords, is that what we can expect? Can you elaborate any more on how that present's actually going to work, the toy weapon set? Because I'd be very curious and wondering how to use that on future guild survivors or future guild events, those kinds of things.
Well, I'm only telling you what the presents are early. Think of it like if you're shaking your gifts. If you want to actually know what it's going to do, you're gonna have to wait till the 25th. Gotta have some excitement for the holidays.
Okay.
Well,
fair
first
enough.
we have to figure out a way to get the Elite Raiders to Ironforge to open their presents, because some of them still don't have their sleighs. Great Father Winter. How do we do that?
How do you get to Ironforge?
No, how do you get these guys to open their presents? Because
how do we get the Elite Raiders to go to Ironforge and open their presents? They're such Scrooges.
Just tell him to get off the mounts, and then you can actually open the presents.
Oh, those elite raiders. But we
I
do
believe
have
the favorites are the mammoths.
those are the
quite-
worst.
They're quite festive, but quite annoying if you also ask me, because they also sit on my chair when I'm sitting nearby. No one even gives me any cookies during that time.
So that's actually a really good point. For those of you that like to make gold and like farming some things, if you go to Westfall or various other areas, farming small eggs is definitely how to make the gold. Are the quests already in game to get the cookies and milk? Or is that later?
No,
What?
they're already in game.
Oh, okay.
It's in
we
game
mi-
right now.
Well, it might be a little bit late then. I'm sure the egg prices have skyrocketed for everybody on everybody's server.
But you need to bring cookies and milk to Great Father Winter. It's part of the tradition.
Well, I will. Hopefully, Great Father Winter will accept store-bought cookies and not, freshly baked ones.
As long as they're gingerbread, that's my favorite.
All right, so let's move on to some really special events here. So Blizzard has contacted us and said, hey, we know you love doing community events, so we have some awesome keys for you to give away. These keys are pets and mounts and transmog things and things off the Blizzard store. So they provided with us a lot of keys. Again, it is the Winter Veil season of giving, so what we want to do is really get you guys engaged, similar to the Ice Crown Challenge. One of the events will be through our Facebook, Twitter, podcast stream, whatever, where you'll share a story of you paying it forward to somebody else. How have you made somebody else's life in game better through the Winter Veil season? And do one of those. It'll be on Twitter, and people will be able to respond and just get entered in for some of these awesome transmog and mount and store prizes. So that'll be one. We want people to do positive things in the community. We want them to encourage and pay it forward to everybody else, and really get people in the spirit of Winter Veil, because it is such a great and festive season. The other one
Well, I
we'll be
want to
doing.
give.
Sorry, go ahead.
I actually going to step in here because I want to give a couple of examples of the paying it forward.
Mm-hmm.
One of them happened last night, and these are the things that you guys can share with people. So the team that I raid with, Wobble Gobble, was actually going and doing a Gul'dan Mount run. And before they pulled, they asked somebody to step out, and they asked in guild chat for anybody who didn't have the achievement. And several people in guild rolled, and we brought somebody in and got them the achievement last night. And
That's
then
awesome.
it was awesome. And I told them that was the best thing that they had done all night. And then we also had a situation where some of our more experienced raiders was running a Mythic Plus with one of their teammates. And it didn't go very well. It was one of the more challenging ones. And at the end, he said, I've sent all of you guys 1,000 gold for your repairs. And every single member of this group sent it back and said, if that's the logic, then we should be paying you 1,000 gold too. And it was a fun run, and we learned together. And those are the kinds of things we want to see in our community and spread forward.
For sure. I mean, those are great examples. I mean, it's just the little things that make a huge difference, right? I've done things where I make the Hexweave bags on my Warlock ult through the Garrison and everything, and then I'll go to a low-level zone, and, new players or people, leveling on Stormwitch for the first time, like, here is a huge bag, because obviously we don't have enough bag space, but have this bag, because this will hopefully help you on your journeys. And yeah, it's not a nominal cost for these Hexweave bags, but it is something super nice, and these are the kind of impacts that you make on these players early on that they will remember for a long time.
Well, with backpacks getting bigger, Great Father Winter, did you have something to do with that?
A little bit.
See, we knew you had our backs, but with the backpacks getting bigger, Sparty, you may have to go to bigger bags.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we're gonna do for add-ons and bigger bags. But so let's continue on to our other Winter Veil activities. So we will be doing this share a story of paying it forward through Facebook, Twitter, and something else. We want you guys, to really share your awesome stories with us and how we're gonna give out those transmogs. Not too sure yet, but it'll be through that methodology. The other big one is the Winter Veil screenshot contest. So what we're gonna encourage you guys to do is take a screenshot with a a boss a selfie, in your transmog, in your Christmas garb, or sorry, your Winter Veil garb throughout the season. Screenshot it, we'll post it on Twitter, and we'll use a hashtag as well and get you guys those things. Because again, we want you engaged, we want you celebrating Winter Veil and this awesome season. So it should be fun. There'll be lots of fun little things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing Gnome Santa raids, so little discombobulators outside Ironforge and in the various zones that turn you into a gnome. Well, let's get an entire raid of gnomes. Let's go get this festive garb going and go raid Orgrimmar, or go do a raid boss and take an awesome screenshot together, because that's the fun stuff and the fun little community events that you can do as a group.
Well, the best thing about that is you're going to be gnomes.
Well, thankfully temporarily, small
What
little
do you
gnomes.
mean, thankfully?
Yeah, I agree. Why thankfully? They make the greatest helpers,
Is it because their fingers are so small and nimble? They can get in anywhere?
Well, there's that, but they're also just so ingenuous.
Ah, well, that's true. That's true. But no, I mean, as a guild here, between Death Jesters and Zeros to Heroes, we'll be doing a number of little mini competition, whether it's sled races again, or snowball fights, or the little tongue competitions. I'm sure we'll do some of it during the Winter Veil season. Mini races as well. And I'm very curious as to how these toy sets work, so I'm sure we'll be playing with them at some point going into the new year as well. But let's move on to our our questions here. Why we have Great Father Winter. So, Great Father Winter, we had a number of our viewers, submit questions as if they were asking the Warcraft devs. So we do have questions for you. And Great Father Winter, we'll start with this one. Well, what are your favorite kind of cookies? You said they were gingerbread earlier.
Yes, the gingerbread, because it goes so nicely with milk.
Oh,
But, of course, I know that some of you were talking about the store-bought kind, and, well, I won't be too picky. Sitting around and, giving all the presents to the good girls and boys on Azeroth is a very, very tiring thing, and, well, you need cookies to make it through it.
So we know that's your favorite cookie. What is your least favorite cookie? I'm guessing it's a vegan cookie. Nobody wants those. They taste like cardboard. Have you tried them before?
I prefer not to talk about that time.
I didn't even know there were vegan cookies.
There are, and they're very, very not good.
Okay,
that person got a left shock.
I was about to say, right? That definitely puts them on their naughty list. But how do you decide, as Great Father Winter, how do you decide who is on your naughty and nice list?
It's mostly based off their in-game behavior with their friends, I tend to just watch for who's being particularly trollish, who's being particularly nice, things like that.
So let me ask you a question. Let's say, hypothetically, I'm in general chat, and I'm saying, hey, did someone say Anal Thunder Fury Blessed Blade of the Windseeker? Is that going to put me on the naughty list or the nice list?
That's actually going to put you on the third list, which is the banned list.
Well, I think you mentioned one of them, which is those oversized mounts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Those people are the ones who don't get the nice things they want in their presents because, well, they can't even click on the presents while they're on their mount, so it makes it a little bit difficult to open them in the first place.
I might have to help out in that case. If I see people on their mammoths on top of, the mailbox, on top of the presents, I'm going to specifically mail them left sharks. I will do the entire community a favor. I've got a lot of them stocked up, don't you worry.
Awesome.
That
sounds like a perfect thing.
Well, Great Father, how long does it take you to deliver, all the presents in Azeroth? How long does it take to travel?
Well, since the majority of you pick up your presents in either one of two places, Orgrimmar or Ironforge, it's actually pretty quick. As for the rest of them, well, when you have a really, really nice sleigh and a team of wonderful reindeer, it goes pretty quickly.
Ah.
Gives me time to sit around in Ironforge waiting for those cookies that I asked for.
Well, I guess you must be doing a lot of running around, right? You get a lot of cookies and milk, and you must be doing something to, keep that weight off. Do you have a specific exercise regimen that you do to stay fit, a fit little dwarf?
I do. It's called being a dwarf. You don't put on any weight, and even if you do, people just assume that you've been drinking a lot. In my case, drinking a lot of milk.
Okay. Well, one of our viewers asked, what weapon does Great Father Winter wield in that tongue twister? Would you wield an Ashbringer, or what is your weapon of choice, or your, what do you put in your hands?
Honestly, I just prefer a nice regular walking staff. Helps get around and keep some of the more overly eager types away from their presence before they're supposed to be opened. Why would I be wielding an Ashbringer?
Okay.
Well, I think that the question was, will Great Father Winter be wielding an Ashbringer? Utility asked this, and I think that some people thought that Sparty was Great Father Winter.
Me? No.
Oh, they really think you had the time to deal with all the things I have to deal with?
That's right. There's no way I would have the same time to deal with it, first of all. Number two, my beard is not as long, even though it is getting plenty of gray by the day. There's no way I'm ready for the role of Great Father Winter just yet.
Just yet.
Well, Great Father Winter, what is your... do you have a legendary? Is it a Slay legendary? Did the Warcraft devs grant you some kind of power?
Oh, I do have my own legendary. And it's kind of the reason why y'all getting bigger bag space, because it was a byproduct of them making my legendary, which is a legendary bag. So I can have all the bag space I want, and I can deliver all the presents without having to go back to a mailbox every 5 minutes.
Well, one of our viewers did, I guess, ask if you had a specific drink in mind. Are you an eggnog fan?
Sometimes yes or no. It's a bit of an acquired taste, actually.
So, this viewer in particular asks if you have a Nagasaki, where it's 3 parts eggnog, 1 part sake. I wonder how that would taste. I'm not sure.
I honestly don't have much of an idea on that front. I might try it sometime, though. Maybe on my day off.
Okay, well, speaking of days off, well, what do you do in the rest of the year, right? We have Winter Veil in, these 2 weeks, 2 specific weeks. And what do you do in the other 50 weeks of the year in Azeroth?
Well, there's always that work season during the rest of the year where it's getting the helpers to get new ideas for toys every single year, because we always want to step it up a little bit. Give you either more toys or more interesting toys. But
I like that.
Most of the time I'm just sitting there taking over for other people when they need a little bit of a break. Like the postmaster, or sometimes I do believe that there is a particular individual who likes to have me step in, particularly for toy hunters. He goes by the name of RNGesus. So when you're praying to RNG, you're sometimes actually praying to me, but what's the difference?
I was actually thinking there, who's this RNG guy? I don't know any RNGesus, dude. Is he making some kind of religious... I get it now. Yeah, okay. That took me a second.
It did take you a second. But,
The religion of RNG, of course.
Well, and we know how well everybody loves RNG.
Yep. So, if you had, one wish for the Warcraft community this year, what would it be? For the coming year, what would you, wish for all of us?
Well, I would actually wish for 2 things, if it can be a little bit selfish on this front.
Of course.
The first of which would be just to have the community become a much more positive place. It's already positive, but there's always room for improvements. But the big thing I want is to have everybody in the community participate in the season of giving and just pay forward the positivity that's been given to you all this year, and just make sure that someone else feels just the same amount as you did.
That's fantastic. I think those are our two amazing ones, and as long as you're not paying forward left sharks, I think that's an admirable goal and an admirable wish, and that's what we want for the community, right? We've started a great place here in the community. We have a lot of positive outlook and a lot of positive people, and really, through our streams, through our guilds, we're the embodiment of it, right? A better community starts with all of us, and that's how we fight any negativity out there on the internet. So that's fantastic. Thank you. That's a great one. So really to close out here, thank you guys for watching our 8th episode on Winter Veil. We'll be doing one at some point next weekend. We're not sure exactly on the date just because of the Winter Veil festivities. But our fantastic guest this week was Great Father Winter, also known as Ariyana Songbringer. You know her through Twitter, through our guild. A great person in their community, great voiceover actor. She's done a lot not professionally through Warcraft yet, but at BlizzCon was amazing. I think your Illidan Millhouse impression was by far one of the best ones you've done. So thank you, Ariana, for being here with us on our fun little stream.
Sure, it's no problem at all. It's hard to keep that voice consistent during the entire podcast.
Oh, it's so well done though. So thank you. And Midgettes, of course, our co-host, our producer, the one that does all the work. Thank you as well for everything. That was a good one.
It was fun, and thanks, Ariana, for joining us. And I noticed that you were entering the voice actor competition. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh gosh, I guess I don't usually like plugging my own work, but
plug it. We want to hear it.
Plug it, and we want to hear it.
Okay, fine. Well, I'm not sure if I can do it right now, but so there was a competition that was posted on Twitter at the start of this week from the guys at Funimation called Now Voice This, where they wanted you to post for this week a 10 to 20 second impression of a character from some well-known work. I chose WoW because, of course, that's where my roots come from.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, it's just they're going for the process of listening to all the entries right now. I had mine posted on Twitter around, I want to say, mid-Thursday afternoon or so. And if they make it on to the next round, which is honestly a little bit unlikely just due to the amount of people that turned out. There's like thousands of entries between Twitter and Facebook.
That's crazy.
They'll narrow down the field to, I'm probably saying, at most like 100 or so. And another challenge will be posted on Monday at 9 p.m. Central, which means that about an hour into the raid on Monday, I might be a little bit distracted because I'm going to be looking for those announcements.
Totally fine. I mean, I think that's fantastic, and your voiceovers are fantastic. We want to help support you wherever we can, and it's great. I mean, it's a great thing for the community, and it's great to show off your talents and what you're able to do.
Yeah. Even if I get a little bit flustered when someone's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so good," I'm just like, "Thanks."
I think that's a natural reaction for anybody. But so next week's topic will be the Winter Veil coverage, the season of giving, various competitions that we've been doing, as well as some Buddy Bird runs as well. So we look forward to having you guys next week as well. We'll see you guys really at some point next week. Follow us on Twitter to see when. Until then, have a good afternoon, a good night, and as always, live your life heroically. Have a good one, friends.
And have a wonderful feast of Winter Veil.